predicting who will die and who might kill them in the Season 2 finale of The White Lotus. Warning: this article includes spoilers for the first 6 episodes of Season 2 of The White Lotus. The second season of The White Lotus concludes on Sunday, and you know what that means, it's time for someone to die. Multiple individuals, in fact. Valentina, Sabrina Impacciator, the resort manager, learns from her naive romantic rival Rocco, Federico Ferrante, in the opening flash-forward that at least one guest has drowned and there are more bodies someplace. With the apparent exception of Daphne, Megan Fahey, who is seen discovering a body floating in the Ionian Sea, victims may be any tourist and some of their Italian companions. Fans on TikTok, Reddit, and elsewhere have spent the entire season speculating about who will appear on the Lotus' gorgeous beach. These predictions are entertaining, not to mention extremely specific, but they often result from an obsessive analysis of the film's plot, dialogue, and individual shots, elements that could equally serve as red herrings. If the matching of murderer and victim in the first season is any indicator, however, Mike White is likely to embed the most crucial clues within the season's most prominent theme: romance as power struggle. In light of this, we have determined who is most likely to die during their journey to Sicily and who, if anyone, may be responsible. Tanya and Portia. With the discovery that Quentin's mysterious long-lost cowboy love is actually Tanya's husband Greg in the penultimate episode, it appears that a broke Quentin, Tom Hollander, is working with Greg, John Grease, to swindle Tanya, Jennifer Coolidge. Tanya often stated that she and Greg executed a prenuptial agreement. Either Quentin is attempting to murder Tanya so that he and Greg may divide the fortune, or he is attempting to record Tanya having an affair, which could nullify the prenup if it contains an infidelity provision. It is unknown whether Greg genuinely loves Quentin or is taking advantage of Quentin's unwavering devotion. Meanwhile, Portia, Haley Lou Richardson, has finally realized that something is wrong with her rambunctious English youngster. Following episode 5's jaw-dropping sex scene, an inebriated Jack, Leo Woodall, reveals to Portia that he is not Quentin's nephew and that Quentin is broke, all while keeping Portia away from the party where Quentin is implementing his plan against Tanya. Now Portia is stranded in an unfamiliar region of the globe with a man she hardly knows. She must return to Tanya, but even if the two are reunited in Quentin's villa, the Italian escort/drug dealer/mafia-affiliated man Tanya slept with at the end of the previous episode has entered the home with a Chekhov's pistol. This firearm is certain to discharge. However, who will hold it? Tanya has a low chance of passing away. While Tanya is the subject of a plot, actor Jennifer Coolidge is the pivotal figure in the third season renewal of the White Lotus television series. Even if she loses half of her wealth to Quentin and Greg, we anticipate that she will remain for that season. Probability of killing, moderate. Is it difficult to envision Tanya effectively murdering another person? Absolutely. However, having your 9-figure money account targeted by your husband, your new best buddy, and the hottie he recruited to be your arm candy may drive a person insane. Probability of death for Portia is high. Here's what we know about Portia: she's chronically depressed, she's sleeping with a sloppy drunk posing as the nephew of a nefarious schemer but is actually sleeping with him, and, most damning in the world of the White Lotus, her identity as a woman and an employee of the ultra-wealthy makes her especially susceptible to cruel turns of fate. You can also envision Tanya, burdened by the death of her assistant, drifting off to her next Lotus retreat. Probability of killing, low. Perhaps she will attempt to rescue Tanya. It is difficult to image Portia caring enough about her boss or her own life to kill for any reason other than self-defense. Jack, Quentin, and Greg. Quentin, Jack, and the rest of Quentin's gang are up to no good. Cash-poor Quentin requires Tanya's funds to maintain his opulent palazzo. His only other alternative would be to, reluctantly, allow the public to enter the sacred halls. Tanya and Portia are aware of their strategy and the likelihood that Greg is participating, but it is unknown how they will leave the situation. Tanya and Quentin will have ample opportunity to confront one another when the full crew returns to the White Lotus shortly. Quentin. Probability of dying is high. Quentin's statement to Tanya that he would die for beauty was far too prophetic. Probability of killing, high. If Quentin is willing to die for beauty, he will likely also murder for it. Jack. Probability of dying is high. If we've learned anything from the first season of White Lotus, it's that the upper classes manipulate and abuse the lower classes to retain their standing. Jack may be a drunken ST, but he also appears to be a victim of Quentin's schemes and is therefore likely to be executed. In addition, he spouted a great deal of potentially prophetic nonsense about making the most of today and not knowing if we'll be here tomorrow. Probability of killing, moderate. It appears that Jack has moral misgivings about his involvement in Quentin's scheme, therefore he is less likely to pull the gun than his alleged uncle. Still, Jack is needy and bewildered, and he is obviously still reeling from whatever hole he found himself in previously. It is possible that he falls into a dangerous position and acts rashly. Greg. Probability of dying is high. Remember that Greg has only been gone for a few days and is rumored to be returning to Italy, if only to claim his share of Tanya's riches or to rejoice with Quentin. Does he return at an inopportune time and run afoul of the random Italian man's gun? Greg's elimination at this time would allow Tanya to make yet another series of terrible romantic decisions in Season 3. Probability of killing, low. Even if Greg is planning to kill his wife for financial gain, he is likely to preserve some distance between himself and the actual act. Conviction for murder is a simple method to forfeit an inheritance. The men of Di Grasso. The vacation of the Di Grasso family did not go quite as planned. The 3 Di Grasso men discovered their long-lost cousins, but they were met with cries, obscenities, and bodily harm threats by Artichoke. "Who needs men?" exclaims one of their elderly cousins. Bert, played by F. Murray Abraham, is despondent since he was not greeted with a hearty embrace. After destroying his own family through numerous indiscretions, he always believed he might discover love elsewhere. He was in error. Dominic, Michael Imperioli, is still concerned that Lucia, Simona Tabasco, the sex prostitute he hired for the week to be his girlfriend, has set her sights on his innocent son, Albie, Adam DeMarco. Albie, meantime, continues his crusade for feminist males worldwide. He may be trying too hard. Is he the type to put himself in harm's way to prove a point for Lucia or Portia? Or, even worse, is he a self-proclaimed kind person who turns out to be anything but, becoming antagonistic toward a lady who has rejected him? Fans hold out hope for a late-season visit by Laura Dern, who voiced Dominic's wife in the first-season phone call. A surprising entrance by Dern could play a role in the conclusion. Even better, she may be a featured character in Season 3. Bert. Probabilities of dying are moderate. Bert has already fallen multiple times this season. The repeated clumsiness may be a precursor to an accident. It has been extensively discussed how old he is. Given that we must account for several bodies in the conclusion, Bert seems like a likely suspect. Probability of killing, moderate. Though he has taken Dominic and Albie's liaisons with the locals with humor, he has made it very apparent that he feels the family must be preserved at all costs. Constantly urging Dominic to mend his marriage, he argues that even Demeter forgave Hades for raping Persephone's mother. What twisted reasoning! Bert may be compelled to intervene if Albie wants to bring Lucia back to Los Angeles, thereby introducing a chaos agent into Dominic's home who is certain to clinch the doom of Dominic's marriage. Dominic. Probability of dying is low. Although Dominic is irritated by his son's interest in a sex worker, and possibly worried that he will repeat the faults of his ancestors, he has not entered into a problematic relationship with anybody this season. Moreover, he is likely the most trustworthy of the Di Grasso men. He does not believe that he is a sly cheater like his father or a good man like his son. He is aware that he is a poor husband. This level of self-awareness will likely protect him from any significant harm. Probability of killing, low. Dominic appears to prefer trying to pay his way out of a terrible position rather than making a fuss. Albie. Probability of dying is low. Albie will undoubtedly endure a severe setback in the series finale and emerge angrier than when he first arrived in Sicily. However, he will have to live with the repercussions of his decisions towards Lucia, not die for them. Probability of killing, moderate. Albie looks destined to perform a horrific act before the conclusion of this season and therefore complete his destiny of becoming a misogynist, as is the Di Grassa way, despite his best attempts. When he realizes that Lucia has deceived him, he may lose control. Will he unintentionally kill someone while defending her? There exists a scenario in which both Lucia and Jack end up bereaved, if not dead, and Albie and Portia rejoin, bonding over their shared experience of being duped by sex workers, their remorse at surviving the ordeal, and their mutual embarrassment about trying to make each other envious. Harper, Ethan, Daphne, and Cameron are members of the group. This quartet's tension has reached a new high point. Harper, Aubrey Plaza, was in a surprisingly cheerful mood in the previous episode either because Cameron, Theo James, affirmed that Ethan, Will Sharp, had not cheated on her, or because she is determined to make Ethan envious by flirting with or sleeping with Cam. All of Ethan's previous resentments against Cameron, who constantly pursued the women he pursued in college, are rising to the surface. Cameron, meantime, acts carefree, but he is still concerned that either Cameron or Harper would tell Daphne, Megan Fahey, about his crazy night with Lucia. Only Daphne appears to be having her best life, oblivious to Cam's infidelity and Harper and Ethan's marital issues. In any case, she may reunite with her attractive trainer back in California. Harper. Probabilities of dying are moderate. In prior episodes, her likelihood of becoming a murderer was significantly higher, but now her fury has been moved to her husband Ethan. Ethan's jealousy of Harper or Cameron, with whom he suspects they are having an affair, could result in their deaths. Probability of killing, moderate. Following her and Daphne's return from Noto, she discovered a condom package nestled between the couch cushions. She believed it was Ethan's and was silently enraged until he saw the wrapper and confronted her. Although Ethan explained everything, Harper wasn't sure whether or not to believe him until the penultimate episode, despite this couple having a superiority complex based on always telling the truth. Ethan now suspects Cameron of flirting with his wife. It is conceivable that Ethan might assault Cameron and Harper would have to murder Ethan to stop him. Probability of death for Ethan, medium. Depending on how, where, and in front of whom his pent-up wrath appears, he could attack Cameron or Harper and end up on the losing side. In the last episode, he swam out to sea in a passion, buoys be damned, which felt ominous but may have been a red herring.